Now it's time to strap in with the Colonel. Here's our friend, Colonel Rob Maness.
Thanks, Kevin. This week was our biggest showing of grassroots volunteering and public interest in our campaign to date, and it was all promoted on our website, robmaness.com. We had 4 town halls this week to discuss the direction of our country with fellow Louisianans. The messages of liberty, prosperity, and certainty is resonating with voters who know that the politicians, crony capitalists, and party insiders can't be trusted to promote. One gentleman even came to a town hall earlier in the week as a supporter of Senator Landrieu, heard that I would rely firmly on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and left publicly declaring that he is now a committed Rob Maness voter. We also had a volunteer day of action on Saturday, during which over 100 supporters went door to door to promote our candidacy. We even had a national television network spend a day with us covering the hard work our campaign is undertaking to earn the votes of Louisianans in every parish. No matter where we go, I find that people want one of us to take this seat back from the politicians and the political class who they consort with to pass laws that benefit the few. With your support, we'll win the primary on November 4th and defeat Mary Landrieu in the December 6th runoff. For more information, to donate, or to volunteer, visit us at robmaness.com. This is Colonel Rob Maness with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Join us again next week for another segment of Strappin' with the Colonel featuring Rob Maness of Louisiana on Mama Grizzly Radio. For more on Colonel Maness, head to robmaness.com. That's ROBMANESS.com.
It's time for Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson and Kevin Scholla.
Hello, Susan. Welcome back.
Kevin, it's very nice to be here.
You know, a lack of leadership is a theme we hear often now with the Obama administration. You think back to Ronald Reagan and how he handled tragedies and things that have happened, and then you think of this jet going down, the Malaysian airliner, and the way Obama kind of just, talked about it for a moment, then went back to his jokes and his ridiculous commentary at a campaign stop. Leadership is lacking, and I think people are really getting sick and tired of it. What about you?
Well, I think that there is a real concern, even over being very tired of this kind of leadership or lack thereof, that there is just an overall concern that the way that the president seems to be dealing with worldwide issues now is to pretend as if they're not there. And I think that what you're seeing with our enemies is they are emboldened by this behavior, as you can see in Vladimir Putin. He knows that President Obama is not going to engage and is not going to do anything. And the problem is there was an airliner that was shot out of the sky. Almost 300 people were killed, innocent people, and Vladimir Putin's fingerprints are all over this, and you have a president who, once again, wants to pretend. He just thinks he can kind of ride this out, and unfortunately for our country, this is a real change in what we've ever seen in our president.
And the situation in Ukraine is not the only one. You look at what's going on with Israel, over a dozen Israeli soldiers killed, including 2 Americans. This is another situation where, he's trying to play the middle of the line here again.
Well, and I don't see that there is a middle of the line here, and you have a bully who has power in Vladimir Putin, and that is also emboldening other opponents that we have around the world. And there is peace that comes through strength, and this is not just a byline or words that we're saying that America is losing credibility. We are losing credibility. And this could be turned around in a heartbeat if we had a president that would actually lead and would actually believe in the strength that America has. And really, it has been America that has been keeping the world safe, because we are strong and we do protect the innocent where we can. And unfortunately, we are now moving in an entirely new direction.
Well, this was discussed in 2008 And we felt very strongly about it then, and sadly now you see why we felt so strongly about it. I mean, it was a sure deal that if Obama and these folks got in, that these types of things would happen, especially with foreign policy, let alone all the domestic issues and mess from immigration to jobs to everything else. But you take a look at all these things that are happening, you know, it wasn't expressed perhaps by the candidates, the top of the ticket candidates, but this is a guy that, you know, we said would weaken us and we would be looked at in the international community as the laughingstock, and everyone said, yeah, well, whatever, we have to get this guy. Well, they got what they wanted.
Well, this is not to say that we should be invading these foreign countries, but from the perspective of a military family, which our family has been, my husband served in the Marine Corps for 24 years, we were having a discussion about this, and when you have people that are in elected positions that haven't had the real-world experience, where they have been in positions that haven't really tested them. Really, Barack Obama has been a law review professor. He has been a community organizer. He's coming from an entirely different perspective. And I think at times that it's a naive perspective. Unfortunately, I believe that that is endangering the national security of America. And I think that this is something that Americans are going to have to clearly grasp and reevaluate as the next presidential election is coming around. And I can tell you, I am not feeling that we would be more secure with Hillary Clinton in the White House either. I think it's time for the Republicans to get their act together and for us to put forward some strong presidential candidates that are going to get this country back on track.
Well, don't worry, Susan. We could get you Elizabeth Warren, too.
Oh, yes. Elizabeth Warren, who is going to solve all of the class warfare problems that exist right now.
And change the Redskins' name. Well, listen, thank you, as always. And, of course, our prayers out to those victims of the plane that was shot down and the families of those victims. And, of course, our friends in Israel who are really going through a time right now.
Yes, and we need to be praying for our leaders that they'll make wise decisions.
All right, Susan. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Kevin.
Susan Stimson in Virginia. More Commonwealth Common Sense next week. Now our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here's Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. After this week, we know that the world is missing America's strong leadership. But America's strength and leadership in the world is directly tied to our economic strength. Larry Kudlow makes a powerful argument reminding us that our economic strength and our entrepreneurial ability were vital to outsmarting the Soviet Union and winning the Cold War. Reagan knew this and relied on it. Today, our economy is suffering. In fact, Kudlow argues that Putin has nothing to fear from us. And in his words, America's economic weakness is so worrisome, one suspects our friends are losing respect for us too. Whether in Europe, Asia, Latin America, or Israel, our allies know that America has been the backstop for freedom. If not us, who? But where is that backstop now? Our average real growth rate during the recovery has been 2.1%. The average recovery rate of post-war growth had been 4.1%. The Reagan recovery averaged 5% annual growth at the same point as the Obama recovery. He reports that far more worrisome is the trend. In fact, he writes that over the entire post-war period, average yearly growth has been 3.2%, and in the 1980s and 90s, growth was 3.7%. Since 2001, however, under Republican and Democratic presidents and Congresses, as the dollar lost over a third of its value, growth has dropped to only 1.8% annually. Something has clearly gone very wrong. Wow, that is an understatement. America desperately needs an economic revival, starting with simplifying the tax code and reducing the deficit. Our economic strength is the key to restoring our leadership in the world. This is Sarah Steelman from Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Strappin' with the Colonel, Commonwealth Common Sense, and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Rob Manus, at Susan B. Stimson, and at Sarah_Steelman. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Head to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Susan Stimson, Rob Manus, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Barry Loudermilk, and thank you, Dr. Bob Johnson. And, of course, thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.